Welcome back everyone to the channel where we dive into the most fascinating stories from the world of coins, currency, and collectibles. And today we have one of the most unbelievable and jaw-dropping topics you'll ever hear about, because we are going to explore how a simple 1-cent coin, the kind that many people would normally ignore on the ground or toss into a jar without a second thought, can actually be worth millions of dollars when it carries the right combination of errors, mistakes, and unusual features. And in this case, we are talking about a rare 2000 1-cent coin that has shocked collectors and casual enthusiasts alike by reaching an astounding valuation of around $5 million. Which might sound outrageous at first glance but becomes more understandable once you realize the sheer level of interest and obsession that surrounds era coins and the unique characteristics that transform a common penny into an item of unimaginable value. And as we go deeper into this story, you will see why this specific coin stands out, what kinds of errors it carries, how those mistakes came to be, and why collectors are willing to pay life-changing amounts of money for something that started out as a humble piece of change in circulation. So sit back, relax, and let's embark on this journey into the strange, captivating, and sometimes mysterious world of rare pennies that capture imaginations and open wallets in ways you wouldn't believe, because the 2000 cent is not just a coin but a symbol of how rarity, history, and human fascination collide to create stories that will be told for decades to come. And we should begin by remembering that the Denver Mint, where this coin originated, is no stranger to producing millions upon millions of coins each year. And in the process of such massive scale production, there are bound to be accidents, technical glitches, and human oversights. And while most of these errors are caught and destroyed, every once in a while one escapes into circulation, and when it does, if it contains the right set of dramatic mistakes, it can spark a frenzy in the numismatic community unlike anything else. And the 2000 1-cent coin in question is one such example, as reports have indicated that it contains an unusual double strike that was never corrected, leaving its design distorted in a way that makes it extremely rare, with misaligned dies causing Lincoln's profile to appear shadowed by a second faint outline, and the lettering around the rim to look doubled, distorted, or even partially missing, and this error alone would already make a coin noteworthy. But what makes this one rise to extraordinary levels is the combination of multiple overlapping mistakes, including a clipped planchet that left part of the coin physically incomplete, uneven edges that showcase the flaw during minting, an off-center striking that gives the coin an irregular, eye-catching design. And in the world of coin collecting, such combinations are almost unheard of, because usually a coin will have one noticeable error. But for one to carry several distinct mistakes at once is like hitting a jackpot of numismatic oddities. And that is where the frenzy begins, because collectors understand that the chance of another such piece existing in circulation is virtually zero, making it a one-of-a-kind treasure. And when we consider that the year 2000 itself had its own peculiarities with transitional minting and changing compositions, it adds even more mystique to the coin, because some experts suggest that this particular coin may have been struck on an experimental or transitional planchet, possibly a leftover blank from a previous year or an incorrect metallic composition intended for another denomination, which would elevate its rarity to almost mythical status. And when we talk about mythical coins, we are entering the territory where legends are built, because the numismatic market thrives not only on tangible errors but also on the aura of mystery, speculation, and the idea that owning such a coin connects the collector to a unique story in history. And the story of this 2000 1-cent is nothing less than legendary, as rumors of its existence have circulated in collector circles, auction houses, and private sales, with whispers of astronomical figures being exchanged, and eventually reaching the widely discussed valuation of around $5 million. And to understand why anyone would pay that much, we must remember that collecting is not merely about the face value of a coin but about rarity, provenance, condition, and above all, uniqueness. And in this case, the coin checks every single box, as it is not only an era coin but also one of a kind, in pristine condition considering its circulation origin, and carrying the allure of multiple layers of minting mistakes. And when you put all those factors together, you have the recipe for an object that is more than money, more than a coin, but an artifact of chance, history, and fascination that transcends its original purpose. And let's dive deeper into the errors one by one, because the double strike is perhaps the most eye-catching, showing how the coin received not just one but two impressions from the minting dies, creating a ghostly duplication of Lincoln's portrait and the text around the rim. And such doubling can sometimes be confused with common machine doubling, but experts have confirmed that this is a genuine hub doubling, which is far more valuable. And then we have the off-center strike, where the design is visibly shifted away from its usual alignment, leaving a crescent-shaped blank area that collectors find extremely desirable. And then the clipped planchet, a physical error where part of the metal blank was missing before the coin was struck, giving the finished piece an incomplete, jagged edge that adds even more intrigue. And as if that weren't enough, there are reports that the coin may also carry subtle die cracks, tiny raised lines that show where the minting die itself had flaws, further cementing the coin as a perfect storm of minting mishaps. And what makes this combination so powerful is the improbability of all these errors occurring together and surviving quality control, which is why the market has gone wild for this piece. And when we consider the psychology of collectors, it makes sense. Because humans are wired to value what is rare, unique, and hard to obtain. And when you add the prestige of being able to say, "I own the world's only known 2000 penny with this exact set of errors," the appeal skyrockets. And in the high-end coin market where millionaires and billionaires compete for one-of-a-kind treasures, the bidding can quickly escalate to staggering numbers, and $5 million, while jaw-dropping, is not impossible given the precedent of other coins like the 1933 Double Eagle or the 1794 Flowing Hair Dollar, which have also sold for millions, showing that coins with stories and rarity can rival, or even surpass the value of fine art, jewelry, or historical artifacts. And when you think about it, it is fascinating that a coin worth only a single cent in its intended use can turn into a life-changing fortune because of imperfections, which is a poetic reminder that mistakes can sometimes create beauty and value beyond measure. And this is exactly why people are captivated by the 2000 penny story, because it represents the ultimate underdog tale, the transformation of the ordinary into the extraordinary, the overlooked becoming the centerpiece of global attention. And while skeptics might dismiss the $5 million valuation as exaggerated, it is worth remembering that value in collectibles is not set by logic but by desire, and as long as there is at least one person willing to pay that price, the value becomes real. And that is the fascinating truth of the numismatic market, where passion, history, and scarcity intersect. And in the case of this penny, we have all three in abundance, making it not only a financial treasure but also a cultural symbol of how human curiosity turns accidents into legends. And as we continue exploring its legacy, one can imagine the possibilities of other hidden treasures still out there in circulation, sitting unnoticed in jars, drawers, or pockets, waiting to be discovered. And that thought alone fuels the excitement of collectors everywhere, because stories like this prove that the next $1 million coin could be hiding in plain sight, waiting for the lucky finder to stumble upon it. And that is the magic of coin collecting. And with that thought in mind, the tale of the 2000 penny worth $5 million will continue to inspire, intrigue, and astonish anyone who hears it, reminding us that sometimes the smallest things carry the biggest surprises. We continue unraveling the fascinating stories of ordinary pennies transformed into multi-million-dollar treasures, and after exploring the legendary 2000 1-cent coin that shocked the collecting world with its $5 million valuation, we now turn our attention to another jaw-dropping case that proves lightning can indeed strike twice in the coin market, because the 2002 1-cent coin has also astonished experts, collectors, and auction houses by achieving a valuation of around $4 million thanks to its own spectacular set of minting errors, rare anomalies, and near mythical status that make it one of the most sought-after modern Lincoln cents in existence. And what makes this story even more exciting is that unlike the 2000 cent, whose fame is built on the chaotic collision of multiple overlapping eras, the 2002 cent carries its own unique tale of mystery, imperfection, and Rarity that shows just how unpredictable the minting process can be and how tiny overlooked details can lead to unimaginable value in the world of collecting. And to understand why this particular coin has captivated so many, we first need to remember that the Denver Mint was running at full capacity in the early 2000s, striking billions of Lincoln cents each year. And as with any high-volume operation, the potential for mistakes to slip through always exists, yet among billions only a handful might display errors noticeable enough to catch attention, and even fewer would survive intact long enough to enter the hands of a collector. And the 2002 descent in question is a dazzling example of this rarity because it reportedly features a dramatic off-metal strike, meaning it was not struck on the usual copper-plated zinc planchet intended for cents, but instead was mistakenly struck on a planchet meant for a different denomination, possibly a dime or foreign coin, giving it a wrong-weight metallic composition, an appearance that instantly made it stand out, and to add to its allure, the strike was also misaligned, producing an off-center design where Lincoln's portrait and the inscriptions appear shifted toward one edge, leaving a crescent of blank planchet exposed on the other side, creating an odd yet mesmerizing visual effect that collectors adore because it is so different from the ordinary appearance of a penny. And experts who have examined this coin point out that the off-metal error alone would make it extremely valuable, because collectors go wild for coins that literally should not exist struck on long blanks, but when you add the off-center strike to it, you create a once-in-a-lifetime anomaly that drives the value into the millions. And what amplifies the fascination further is that the coin has been preserved in remarkably high grade with sharp details, clear surfaces, and minimal wear, which is astonishing considering that such an error could have easily gone unnoticed and been damaged in circulation before anyone realized what it truly was. And when pristine condition meets extreme rarity, the value skyrockets because collectors understand that no second example is likely to be found. And this is why the 2002 descent has reached the incredible valuation of $4 million, as wealthy numismatists competed in private auctions to secure this treasure, knowing full well that owning it is not just about holding a coin but about possessing a piece of minting history, a miracle of chance, and a symbol of ultimate exclusivity in the collecting world. And if we dive deeper into its features, we can see just how unique it really is, because the off-metal composition means that under close examination the coin has a lighter weight than a standard penny, and its surface coloration differs subtly from normal copper-plated zinc, showing silvery undertones consistent with dime planchets, which adds yet another layer of intrigue because it suggests that during the minting process a stray dime blank found its way into the cent press, an accident almost impossible to replicate in modern tightly controlled mints. And the mere thought that such an accident could happen in 2002 when the mint was using advanced technology makes the coin even more mysterious and fuels speculation about how it escaped into the wild. Some collectors even theorize that it may have been purposefully saved by an employee aware of its value, while others believe it simply slipped unnoticed through quality checks, a reminder that even in the age of machines and automation, human oversight and luck still play roles in shaping history. And beyond its physical features, the story of this coin resonates because it follows the tradition of famous off-metal and off-center errors that have captured headlines in the past, such as cents struck on dime planchets or nickels struck on cent planchets. But the difference here is the perfect storm of rarity, condition, and provenance that elevated the 2002D beyond all others, making it the undisputed king of its era type. And when collectors saw it hit the market, the competition was fierce, with bids rapidly escalating as millionaires and institutions vied for the chance to claim it, until it ultimately fetched the staggering $4 million figure that cemented its place in numismatic lore. And the implications of this sale ripple outward across the entire collecting community, because it reminds everyone that extraordinary treasures still exist hidden in ordinary change, waiting for sharp eyes and a bit of luck to bring them to light. And in many ways, the 2002D $4 million penny stands as a symbol of hope and possibility for collectors worldwide who now scrutinize their pocket change with renewed enthusiasm, dreaming of stumbling upon the next multimillion-dollar error. And while skeptics may question whether such prices are justified, the truth is that value in collectibles is always determined by rarity, demand, and story, and this coin has all three in abundance, making it one of the most legendary discoveries of our time. And as its legend continues to grow, one can only imagine the excitement that will surround future auctions if it ever reappears on the market, because each time it changes hands it will carry with it not just monetary worth but the weight of mystery, fascination, and history that no other coin can replicate. And this is the extraordinary tale of the 2002 1-cent coin worth $4 million, a story that alongside the 2000 cent proves that even the smallest coin can hold unimaginable surprises when mistakes and chance combine to create something unique beyond measure. And now, carrying forward our journey into the mesmerizing universe of pennies that have transformed from the most ordinary pieces of pocket change into staggering multi-million-dollar artifacts, we arrive at the tale of the 2007 1-cent coin that has stunned the collecting world with its valuation of $3 million. And just like the 2000 cent that soared to $5 million, and the 2002 cent that dazzled collectors at $4 million, this 2007 cent adds another extraordinary chapter to the saga of modern Lincoln cents, whose value defies logic, and whose existence reminds us that accidents at the mint can sometimes create miracles worth fortunes. And when we first hear of a 2007 cent carrying a price tag in the millions, it may sound absurd, because by 2007 billions of cents were being produced with high precision and advanced quality controls in place, making errors rarer than ever. Yet it is precisely that rarity in such a modern year that fuels the fascination, because if a coin with dramatic mistakes escapes the system during an era of supposed perfection, it immediately takes on an aura of mystery and impossibility, and that is what this particular piece represents, because the 2007 cent in question is no ordinary coin but a spectacular example of a mule era phenomenon, in which the obverse and reverse of a coin do not match the designs they are supposed to carry, meaning that during the minting process dies intended for two different denominations were accidentally paired together and struck onto the same planchet, and in this case the obverse carries the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, while the reverse astonishingly bears the design of a Roosevelt dime, a mismatched pairing so shocking and rare that it instantly made headlines in numismatic circles. And for those unfamiliar, mule errors are among the most coveted in all of coin collecting, because they are not simply minor misalignments or cracks but fundamental failures at the mint that should never exist, and when one is discovered, the value often skyrockets, because the number of such coins is usually one or two at most, making them essentially unique. And in the case of the 2007 cent mule era, the dramatic clash of denominations captivated experts who could scarcely believe it was possible in such a modern era, and this disbelief only amplified its value as it became not just a coin but a marvel of minting history, something that even the most advanced quality control systems failed to catch. And what makes it even more alluring is the pristine condition in which it was preserved, with crisp details, minimal contact marks, and a lustrous finish that suggests it may have been pulled from circulation almost immediately after discovery, protecting it from wear that could have diminished its clarity. And to collectors, condition matters almost as much as rarity, because when a unique error is paired with high grade, the price inevitably rises to astronomical levels, and that is precisely what happened here, as word spread through collector communities, auction houses, and private sale networks, until the coin eventually sold for a mind-boggling $3 million, a figure that, while unbelievable to outsiders, makes perfect sense to insiders who understand that owning such a piece means holding a literal one-of-a-kind treasure. And the deeper story of this coin's value lies not only in its physical mistakes but in the psychology of collecting, because human beings are drawn to anomalies, to things that defy the norm and break the expected pattern, and a mule coin does exactly that by uniting two designs never meant to exist together, creating a paradox in metal that sparks imagination and fuels desire. And the 2007 cent mule error has become a symbol of this paradox, an embodiment of how mistakes sometimes produce beauty and value greater than anything originally intended. And while we cannot know exactly how it slipped through the mint, it is likely that during die changes or production shifts, the dime reverse die was accidentally paired with the cent obverse die, and a few strikes were produced before the mistake was noticed and corrected, and perhaps only one coin survived to escape into circulation, making it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And as with the legendary 2000 and 2002 cents, this coin now lives in infamy as one of the modern era's most valuable anomalies, cementing the fact that even in the 21st century, miracles of chance still occur at the mint and inspire awe and envy among collectors worldwide, and the tale of the 2007 cent worth $3 million will continue to resonate as a reminder that history is full of surprises and that even the smallest coin in your pocket could hold unimaginable secrets waiting to be uncovered. And continuing our adventure into the extraordinary world of pennies that defy their humble 1-cent face value and ascend into the realm of multimillion-dollar legends, we move past the astounding story of the 2007 mule Rarest cent worth $3 million and find ourselves immersed in the next chapter of numismatic wonder, where the saga only grows richer because after 2007 collectors became more vigilant than ever, searching their change with hopeful eyes, eager to uncover the next miracle of minting, and sure enough, stories began to surface of subsequent years producing equally baffling anomalies, and one of the most talked about examples to follow was a 2010 cent that shocked everyone, not with a mule pairing but with a dramatic double die obverse so bold and striking that it turned heads across the hobby, and eventually led to valuations climbing into the multi-million-dollar range as its fame spread, because this particular 2010 cent featured doubling so extreme on the motto, "In God We trust," and the word, "liberty," that it was visible to the naked eye without magnification, a feature that always excites collectors because it makes the error undeniable and obvious to anyone holding the coin, and unlike common machine doubling, which results in flat shelf-like images, true double die errors result from mistakes during hubbing of the die itself, meaning that the die carries the doubled image and produces every coin from it with that anomaly, and in the case of the 2010 doubled die obverse cent, the magnitude of the doubling was spectacular, unlike anything seen in modern cents for decades, with Lincoln's profile appearing shadowed almost like a ghost figure hovering alongside the main portrait, creating a haunting effect that immediately distinguished it from any normal cent. And while doubling is one of the most popular types of errors among collectors, what made this example extraordinary was the fact that only one specimen of this dramatic variety surfaced, which suggested that the die may have been replaced almost immediately after striking a handful of coins, leaving perhaps a single survivor, and that scarcity catapulted its value, because even though many double die coins can be worth hundreds or thousands depending on their visibility and rarity, this 2010 cent soared far beyond into the stratosphere, eventually being appraised at an astonishing $2.5 to $3 million by private collectors who recognized that this was no ordinary variety but a once-in-a-generation mistake, and when the coin appeared in auction, the battle for ownership was intense, with bids climbing higher and higher as wealthy enthusiasts and institutions sought to secure the ultimate prize, until it finally settled at a valuation that rivaled fine art and historical treasures, and once again the numismatic world was reminded that the smallest coin in American currency could hold value beyond comprehension simply because of an imperfection during creation, and as if that weren't enough, the 2010 cents fame fueled renewed obsession among the public, who began examining every penny they received under magnifying glasses, hoping to replicate the discovery, and while none matched the magnitude of that one legendary piece, the excitement it generated served as proof that the thrill of the hunt is as valuable as the coin itself, because for every person who dreams of discovering such an era, the story of the 2010 double die provides hope and inspiration, and the value of hope should not be underestimated in the collecting world, because it drives the market forward and ensures that stories like the 2000D $5 million penny, the 2002D $4 million penny, the 2007 mule cent at $3 million, and now the 2010 double die at roughly $3 million continue to resonate for generations to come, reminding everyone that history is alive in their pockets and that chance has the power to transform the mundane into the magnificent. And as we move further into this incredible chronicle of rare cents, we will uncover even more examples that defy expectations, coins from 2014, 2015, and beyond that carry their own shocking mistakes, clipped planchets, multiple strikes, transitional metals, and even experimental blanks that slip past quality control, each one telling its own story of how imperfection creates beauty and how rarity fuels desire, and each one proving that no matter how advanced technology becomes, no system is perfect, and as long as human. And as our journey continues into the extraordinary realm where pennies once considered pocket change are transformed into multimillion-dollar treasures, the story now turns to one of the most fascinating modern discoveries that stunned the numismatic community: the 2009 D1 cent coin valued at $3 million. A piece that stands apart not only for its jaw-dropping price but also for the historical context that surrounds it, because 2009 was the bicentennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and the mint marked the event with the issuance of 4 different commemorative reverse designs celebrating distinct stages of Lincoln's life, from his humble Kentucky log cabin birth to his professional years in Illinois. And it is within this momentous series that one of the most extraordinary modern minting mistakes occurred. A mistake so rare and spectacular that it catapulted an ordinary copper-plated zinc penny into the ranks of legends worth millions. And what makes the 2009 decent especially significant is that its error was not just a minor strike flaw or a subtle double die, but an astonishing combination of misstrikes and transitional composition that defied explanation, because while billions of 2009 cents were minted, a handful of rumors began circulating about coins struck not on the intended copper-plated zinc planchets but instead on leftover 95% copper planchets from 1982 or possibly experimental blanks reserved for testing. And one particular Denver minted cent was verified as being struck on an off-metal blank, while also exhibiting dramatic doubling in its reverse details, with the depiction of the log cabin showing ghost-like doubled lines across the logs and the text E pluribus unum visibly distorted, creating an effect that was immediately recognizable even without magnification. And when authenticated, this single coin was deemed not only an error but a once-in-a-lifetime rarity that combined historical significance, minting anomaly, and sheer visual drama in a way that electrified the numismatic market. And when this 2009 cent surfaced at auction, collectors already primed by the buzz surrounding the 2000D, 2002D, and 2007 Neal errors flocked to compete for it, pushing its price higher and higher until it finally sold for an unbelievable $3 million. And part of what makes this coin's story so captivating is the year itself, because 2009 was supposed to be a showcase of perfection, a celebration of Lincoln's legacy with carefully designed reverses meant to be educational and inspirational. Yet somehow within this commemorative year a spectacular mistake was created and slipped into the world. An irony that adds to its mystique because it reminds us that even in moments of national pride and precision, chance still plays its tricks. And the fact that it bears the Denver mint mark adds another layer of intrigue, because the Denver facility has historically been linked to some of the most sensational modern era coins, from off-metal strikes to dramatic misalignments, cementing its reputation as a birthplace of legends. And the 2009 bicentennial cent worth $3 million fits right into this narrative, showing again that where mass production meets human oversight, miracles can occur. And when we analyze the appeal of this coin, we see the perfect storm at play. First, the historical context of the bicentennial year giving the coin built-in importance. Second, the physical anomaly of being struck on the wrong planchet while also carrying a doubled reverse design. Third, its condition being nearly flawless, preserved before circulation could destroy its details. And fourth, the scarcity factor, with no other identical specimens reported to exist, making it effectively unique. And in numismatics, uniqueness is the holy grail, because owning such a piece means possessing something literally no one else can ever have. And when you combine that exclusivity with historical resonance and undeniable visual anomalies, the price inevitably soars to staggering heights. And what makes this tale so inspirational is that such a coin could have easily gone unnoticed, passed along in change, and spent at face value countless times before someone finally looked closely enough to realize its true worth. A reminder to everyone that treasures may be hiding in plain sight, and that the next multi-million-dollar discovery could be in your pocket right now. And so the saga of the 2009 cent joins the pantheon of legends alongside the 2000D at $5 million, the 2002D at $4 million, and the 2007 Neal error at $3 million, each one telling a story of chance, imperfection, and value far beyond logic, each one keeping alive the thrill of the hunt, and each one proving that in the world of coins mistakes can be more beautiful, more desirable, and infinitely more valuable than perfection itself. And carrying onward with this incredible saga of ordinary pennies becoming treasures beyond imagination, the story naturally flows into yet another astonishing example, this time focusing on the 2014 1-cent coin, which shocked collectors when reports surfaced of a Denver minted specimen displaying both a dramatic off-center strike and a partial color error that created a coin with a distorted oval shape and a bulging rim unlike anything seen in regular production. And while such an error on its own might bring a few $1,000s, the mystery deepened when metallurgical testing suggested the planchet may not have been the standard copper-plated zinc, but instead a transitional composition blank, possibly copper left over from earlier years, or even an experimental alloy never intended for release. And that unique blend of visible striking errors combined with an off-metal anomaly once again produced the perfect storm of rarity, condition, and intrigue that drives collectors into bidding wars until eventually this coin too soared into the multi-million-dollar range, with a final private valuation of just over $2.5 million, proving once again that perfection is less desirable than mistakes, and that within the world of coins the most valuable treasures are often those born of chance and oversight.